Happy Thursday, everybody. How's your quarantine going? 9 o'clock class starting in just a moment. Hello and welcome. Very good morning to you all. Yoga Basics, 9 a.m. Today we will be focusing on some basic moves, basic breath, and some basic grounding techniques. This world has become so still and is yet so chaotic. And so we're gonna come to our mat and work that out today. We're gonna come to our mat and work that out today. So happy Thursday once again. It's 8:59. Our class starts at 9 o'clock. Grab a friend, mute your phone, turn your screens off, dim the lights, create a little environment around yourself so that you can really take this hour to quiet in and to create a different world for yourself on your mat and in your space. So yoga really does help us to deal with whatever it is that's going on in the world. There's a quote by Iyengar that's something like, yoga helps us to pick up our day and then put it back down again. And you really do have to take time to put the day down. And that is one of the basic things that yoga helps us with. When we come to yoga, when we're first finding our mat, we're interested in the moves or the breaths and the stretching and maybe reaching our toes or getting stronger in the shoulders. But we rarely know the side effects of yoga that happen magically for everyone who wants them to happen for. That's the key. You have to want it. You have to want to change. You have to know you're supposed to change. And so yoga helps us to roll with the punches no matter what's going on internally or externally. So we're going to find a very basic pose here called child's pose. And this will be our first place of rest today. Child's pose is taken on your knees. I like a little bit of padding, but it's not necessary. You can grab a blanket. I didn't say that before. Anytime you come to your mat, a blanket for sitting on, for meditating and breathing is always a good idea, just for comfort. And also I like it under my knees. So in child's pose, it's your choice. If you are feeling tight in the chest today, you can open out through the knees and stretch your body long. If you're feeling tight in your lumbar spine, you try to keep your knees closer together and curl and round, and you can even bring your arms back. If forehead does happen to reach to the earth, that's where you'll rest it. But if forehead doesn't reach the earth, that's okay. You can bring the earth up to you in the form of your hands or maybe a pillow or a block, whatever you might have around you in your home. And child's pose does help us to stretch into the body. You'll feel the way that you're folded into yourself, the weight of the body helping you to release into hips, helping you to release into shoulders and ankles, tops of the feet. If you tuck your toes under and sink back, it changes the stretch yet again into the bottoms of the feet, into the toes. So we find that basic stretch throughout the back of our body, the fronts of our feet as you rest here. But then what else starts to happen is the world becomes smaller. Suddenly you're not looking at anything. Eyes naturally close as you fold inward. The breath slows down and you can start to listen to the sound of your breath, inhaling slowly. Fill through the belly, fill through the lungs. Exhale completely. Softening down into your mat, allowing a sense of In child's pose, simply walk the hands up and we'll sit down and back onto the heels for lightning bolt pose. If this is too much for your hips to handle, for the ankles to handle, you can come up into a lifted spine, or if you do have that blanket, you can, instead of kneeling on it, you can bring it in between the hips and the ankles, and this creates a little bit of lift and comfort. Just make yourself comfortable here as we lift into lightning bolt pose. Notice your tailbone pressing down. Notice the crown of the head reaching up. Rest your palms onto your lap. Tuck your chin slightly in and create some space in the back of your neck. And breathe deeply into the belly here. This pose is good for checking in with your posture. And it's a good place to start to breathe in the morning, start to work into those internal organs. Another fantastic side effect of yoga that people rarely know about until they start doing it is that it not only tones your legs, your arms, your muscles, it tones your inner organs, makes you more effective in using and eliminating your food. Also helps you to be a little bit wiser in your choices. Take 2 more breaths, just creating that length in the back of the neck. And coming into a little bit of an extension in the spine, hands will come to the sacrum. If knees are tired, you can lift up onto knees, just coming up into this lifted place. If it's okay for you, even further here from your heels, if hands are comfortable on your back, you'll reach back to the earth, fingertips to the earth, and lift up into the heart, this little back bend. If this causes any tightness, any pinching in your spine, you'll lift back up. Always just learning what your limits are here on your mat. And take a few breaths here. This opens us physically into the sternum, into the front of the lungs, the front of the belly. Energetically, it helps us to open into our heart space. Take another breath right here. Release up, relax the arms, and then we're going to come to sit in staff pose. Bring your blanket along for the ride. If you don't have a blanket as you sit on your mat, what you can do to create a little bit of lift and height there is to fold the mat in just a time or two and create a little bit of space there. Staff pose, legs are long, spine is long. You can move the weight out of the way of the sit bones. First time I ever heard a yoga teacher use the word sit bones, I'm like, what the heck is a sit bone? And then you're like, oh, a sit bone. Okay, I get it. So it's those 2 little bony protuberances that are at the base of the hips that help us to lift nice and tall. Toes pressing up, hands will rest again on your lap. Just take a few breaths here. Notice how your hips and shoulders are in relation to each other. Notice how your ears and shoulders are in relation to each other. Lengthen into the back of the neck. Staff pose or Dandasana. This is a place of unexpected strength. This is a place where the core really has to fire to keep you lifted, pressing down into the sit bones, pressing down into the knees. Stay lifted here. Don't let your shoulders slump. Don't let the spine round. Take another breath. And then 1 foot at a time. We'll cross our legs, sitting in easy pose. Bring right leg in front. An easy pose, we have, look down at your legs, have ankles and knees somewhere in line with each other. Make yourself into this nice wide base where you can look down and maybe even see a triangle with the shins and the legs. Don't hug the heels in too far. You want to have them as equal as possible, pressing into those sit bones, little lift under the hips with that blanket for comfort. And hands to the knees now. Curl the fingers around the knees and check in with your posture again. Hips pressing down, shoulders in line with the hips, relaxing away from the ears. Eyes closed or looking down at the earth for a moment. Take your eyes off the screen. And just listen to your breath and notice how you're sitting here in what's known as easy pose. One more breath here. Really expand into the belly. Listen to the inhale coming in. Exhale, relax and soften. And moving more into the spine. We've already had that forward fold in our child's pose. We had that lengthening in our lightning bolt pose and staff pose. Even here in our easy pose, and we pressed forward and up, extending into the heart, extending into the spine in that heart opener that we held a few moments ago. Now we're going to get into the side of the spine with some lateral stretches. What this does is it creates this opening in the spinal column where you can create space in the discs, and then you're also going to open up into the intercostals of the lungs. I really love to help incorporate breath into almost all of my moves in yoga, because when you can learn how to breathe deeper and when you're recovering from any kind of lung stuff that's going on, it's really important to expand back out. So these kind of moves, not only opening us into the spine, opening us into the belly, but opening us into our lungs for a deeper breath today and a deeper breath tomorrow. So nice and tall again. Feel the length from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And left hand will reach away from you, pressing into the ground. If the ground is feeling far away, you can bring that block in or a book under your hand, something non-skid that you'll feel safe on. Make sure that the hips and shoulders feel as though they're in line with each other. And then right arm reaches up past the ear. Stretch through the fingers. Reach through the shoulder. And then stay with me here. From the shoulder to the hip, lift and extend. So it looks like this, from shoulder to hip. Find that space into the rib cage and going internally into the space of the vertebrae. That left hand pressing in, open through the heart. Keep the shoulders in line with each other. Inhale. And exhale, press a little deeper. Find that space. Eyes relaxed, jaw relaxed, breath slow. We'll take 5 more breaths here. Slow down. I'm not sure how much of my co-star is visible there, but if you can hear the little pitter-patter of feet. My cats are currently having a ball party where they're playing with their little fuzzy ball. And they've even left one for me right here next to me. So take another breath. Stretch a little further. Press into those sit bones, those magic sit bones. Both arms reach up, spread through the fingers, roll through the wrists, find a little stretch. And bring the arms down behind you, stretch the legs out, balance on those sit bones, roll into the ankles. And then left leg in front, coming on up to your easy pose, creating the tall spine, that triangle with the legs, flexing out through the heels. Lifting tall into the back of the neck. Eyes relaxed. Take a breath. Right arm will reach comfortably away, pressing the palm into the earth. Stay open into the heart and lungs here. Keep the shoulders in line with each other. Left arm reaches up past the ear, spread through the fingers, and reach between the wrist and the shoulder, creating that space, and then inhale. And create space from shoulder to hip. Exhale. Sit bone stays pressing in, and you're actively reaching away. That right arm supporting you, shoulders in line, eyes quiet. Taking slow breaths here, giving the spine a chance to open, giving the lungs a chance to open. Press into the sit bones. Inhale, reach tall. Both arms up, stretch the fingers, roll the wrists. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a moment and thank yourself for coming to your mat this lovely day. And let's find our final moves into our spinal work today, our twist. Coming back to our knees. We're going to come up into thread the needle pose, which is such a lovely place to find a shoulder stretch and a twist into the spine. So if you're unfamiliar with the pose, just stay up for a second, watch how I get into it. If you know the pose, go ahead and melt in. Knees in line under the hips, feet pressing into the earth. Find your foundation first. Left hand is going to step a little bit away from you. Right arm reaches up, and I really like to check here. If you're feeling stuck in your hips at all, if you feel like you could go further, but you're a little bit stuck in your shoulders and hips, just bring that hand back down. Widen the knees a little bit, and then check again. Make sure you have this stepping out feeling with that left arm. As you inhale, right arm reaches up, open your twist. And here comes our thread the needle part. You're twisting from the hips, so that right arm starts to come through. And from the tailbone, from the hips, you're twisting. And then you're trying to bring that right shoulder down to the earth. Palm is pressing up, left arm supporting you the whole way. If it's comfortable, right ear will press into the earth. And left hand will stay planted and twist open, even looking up at the ceiling, leaning back and feeling that stretch in the right shoulder blade. This is Luna. And the beautiful thing about yoga is thread the needle, such a basic pose. But when you really start to delve into it, suddenly you realize you're not only stretching your shoulder, you're twisting your spine, you're twisting your belly organs, creating this wonderful digestive boost. The hips are over the heart, which gives the heart a beautiful rest, a beautiful boost where the blood just returns to it. This is a calming place for the body to rest. Take another breath. Really open. Left hand supports you. Inhale, open up, stretch open. Return to center. Take a moment in hands and knees, tabletop. And just move here gently side to side. Notice where you felt that stretch today. And second side, find those nice wide hips. Right hand steps a little center, and we'll do that first breath, reaching up. Do you feel open enough here? If you don't, bring your knees a little wider. Step your right hand just a little wider. And inhale, left arm reaches up. Find that open stretch. And exhale, already mindful of how you're twisting. You start to twist from the tailbone, from the hips, all the way up. That left arm diving through, palm up, reaching it away as far away as you can. Shoulder comes in, hand comes in, palm pressing in. And it really isn't that I'm going so slow to explain to you how to get into this pose. It's just that when I get into this pose, that's how slowly I go, to make sure that I'm getting that maximum benefit from this wonderful immunity boosting pose. Close your eyes. Guide your awareness inward. Feel the breath at the belly. Feel your stress melt away. Two more slow breaths, really feel it. Right hand supports you, slowly lift up, open your twist, take your time getting there, don't need the plans. And come back to tabletop, and then stretch back, child's pose. Bring your spine back to neutral and find some length. Forehead to the earth or forehead to the hands, settle into this pose. And breathe deeply into the back of your body, really concentrate. Staying with this quiet feeling of forward fold, we're going to move into our downward facing dog. If you're using the blanket, go ahead and move it out of your way. Just slide it off of your mat. Downward dog is that wonderful inversion where the hips come up over the heart. Take care of your shoulders always in downward facing dog. You always want to have awareness of how the weight is being distributed in the hands, rolling the weight just slightly inward toward the thumb and index finger. This helps us to protect into the wrist, and this helps us to keep that proper neutral rotation or slightly external rotation in our downward dog pose, where the shoulder blades are pressing back and down. And press the ground away. Feel that activation as you press the ground away, and then stop pressing the ground away. Let the shoulders relax. And have that feeling again. Press the ground away. Engage into the shoulders. It's subtle, but you'll feel it once you practice. Exhale and relax the shoulders. And once more, just inhale, press the ground away, activate from the palms up, feel that slight spread of the shoulders, and exhale, bring yourself back to neutral. Let's move into plank pose, which is simply stretching one leg then the other long and lifting knees up. You don't want any sag here between hips and shoulders, and again, you want that feeling that you're pressing the ground away, creating powerful shoulders. Hips in line, heels in line. Inhale here. Keep pressing the ground away. Lift the hips up. And you can bend into the knees at this point quite a bit, both knees, so that you can lift the tailbone, the sit bone up. Hands pressing firmly into the earth, pressing the ground away, that feeling that the shoulders are active here. Take a few more breaths in bent knee, downward dog, really lengthen into the spine. Give your neck a few nods. Open mouth, exhale. Just enjoying this inversion. Take one more breath. And walk the feet forward, bending into the knees. Feet land hip distance or wider. And let's hang in a ragdoll pose. Knees bent, hands folded and holding onto elbows, or you can rest the arms down to the earth. Press into your feet, lengthen into standing tabletop or half lift or Ardha Tandasana. I think that's the bent forward one. Lengthening out through the tailbone, lengthening out through the crown of the head. Check your posture. Press into your feet, reach in through the hands, keeping the spine straight. Lift all the way up, inhale. Hands to your heart, Tadasana pose, thumbs to the sternum, nice and tall at the top of your mat. And keep your feet hip distance, maybe check in looking down. Feet pressing in, toes pressing forward. And lift up tall here from tailbone to the crown of the head. Tadasana pose is a place of continual notice, where you notice how the weight is distributed, how the bones are stacking up, how the shoulders are in relation to the hips. And of course, how are you breathing? Did you start to hold your breath when you moved? Return to that soft space. Feel the thumbs pressing into the sternum, staying in this position just for another moment. Come down to your sides. Staying in Tadasana pose, make sure again feet are about hip distance. We want a little bit of comfort here as we practice folding forward and then extending and lifting upward and back, moving into the 6 movements of the spine again from a standing position and just getting into the energy of the day and getting a little bit of length in our body, standing taller. I hear from my students all of the time, oh, my doctor says I'm a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch taller. And it's just yoga helps us to kind of reverse gravity and find that space again in the discs, find that space again and learn how to stand tall. You also need that strength in the core, that strength in the shoulders. So feet pressing in, bring your hands to your hips and tilt and untilt the hips a few times and just get familiar with that movement. We fold forward from the hips, not from the spine. So you really want to notice that movement, that forward and back of the hips. And then lift tall again. And a forward fold, we tend to just kind of go down from the shoulders and bend forward, and then we get stuck somewhere around here going, I can never touch my toes. And that is not the best way to fold forward. The best way, or one of the better ways to fold forward, and you can even have a little bend into the knees here for comfort, especially if you're tight in your legs or hips. Press into your feet, hands on your hips, and start to fold forward from your hips. Tilt back from the tailbone, widen through the sacrum, and start to fold forward. And then when you feel the spine round, you can bend the legs and bring your hands to your spine, or to your shins. And let's take a few breaths here in a supported forward fold. Lengthen out through the crown of the head, shoulders relaxed. If knees are a little bit bent, let's take a few breaths and see if we can work some of that tension out. Inhale and bend into the knees just a little bit more, staying in your forward fold. Exhale, power out through the knees as much as you can without creating strain. Lengthen the crown of the head away from you. Inhale, bend into the knees just a little bit. And exhale, extend forward, press out through the knees. Take one more like that. With that feeling of extending out from the tailbone to the crown of the head, you can bend the knees again or softly fold in and just check in. Where do you need to take a breath? As you exhale, see if you can lengthen in a little bit more. One more breath, inhale. Exhale. Press through the feet and reversing your bend from the hips, power through the legs, reach through the arms, stretch on up. And hands to your heart, Tadasana pose. And let's move with our breath in some half salutations. Once you get the rhythm, go ahead and close your eyes, or if you're comfortable closing your eyes and just letting my voice lead you, that's even better. You really want to listen to your breath guiding you. So stepping to Tadasana pose, big toes can come to touch, lifting tall from the spine, from the tailbone on up. Bring your hands to your sides. As you inhale, lift up, pause here, reach up through the fingers, and just press the hips forward, lengthening the heart up toward the ceiling, a little back bend here. As you exhale from the hips, fold forward, circle the arms out. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold in. Each time you come into your fold, see if you can work it out a little more. Press into the feet, reach through the arms, stretch on up, press the hips forward, little back bend, lift the heart. Exhale, fold forward, slow and steady, lead with the heart. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold, feel that stretch. Press through the feet, reach through the arms, circle up, palms press, hips open. And bring your hands to your heart, take a breath here, Tadasana pose. Feel the length in your spine. And let's take two more. Inhale, press down, lengthen up. Once you find the length, then press the hips forward, lift the heart up. Exhale, fold forward from the hips, stay mindful. Lift your heart, listen to the sound of the inhale. And exhale, fold in. Press through the feet, reach through the arms, stretch. Once you find the length, press the hips, lift the heart. And last one, fold forward, slow and steady. Try to keep your legs a little longer this time. Half lift, find your length from tailbone to crown of the head. And fold it in. Press through the feet, reach through the arms, stretch on up. Once you have your length, hips forward, heart lifts. And hands to your heart, Tadasana pose, take a breath. Hands come down to your sides, feet comfortably hip distance. Left hand presses into the left thigh. Press into the right foot. Lengthen from right foot to right hip. Lengthen from right hip to right shoulder, and then reach the right arm up. Lengthen from shoulder to wrist, getting to know that right side. And then as you inhale, from foot to fingers, lengthen everything. And as you exhale, press over, find a side stretch, look down. But keep the shoulders in line with each other, opening through the right side chest. Left hand pressing into the leg to create support here. Don't go too far. You want to have comfort in the hips. One more breath, extending into the side of the spine, the side of the ribs. Press into your feet, both arms reach up. Stretch the fingers, rotate the wrists, bring the arms down. Right hand presses into the right leg. Lengthen from the foot to the hip, from the hip to the shoulder, and then reach that arm up, shoulder to wrist. Inhale and lengthen again, reach. And as you exhale, stretch over, shoulders open. Eyes down and listen to your breath. One more. Press into the feet, reach both arms up, lengthen from bottom to top. And relax those wrists on your way down, and then move into the ankles, the knees, the hips. Give yourself a little release here. One more forward fold, and we're going to bring our twist into it. So we've folded forward, we've lifted up, we've gone side to side, and now we're going to twist again. And coming into that wider legged Tadasana pose, you really want comfort in your hips. And what I mean by comfort is space. You want to have this space where you can open up and move a little bit more. When the feet are together, the hips lose some mobility. So when you step out, you can just have that little bit more open hip, and it works very well in a forward fold, especially when we're going to add that twist. So wide as hip distance, or maybe even a little bit wider. Hands to the hips. Press down and lift all the way up. Inhale. And folding from the hips, tailbone presses back. Start to fold in. And then hands to the thighs or the shins, just depending on how open you are in the back of your body. If you start to curl and round, just lift the hands to the thighs instead of the shins. Take a breath here. Keep the length from tailbone to crown of the head and bend into your left leg. Hand to the shin. Sometimes at this point, elbow to the thigh is a better place. So right leg stays straight, straight, straight. Hips stay square, or as square as possible with the left knee bent. And we're going to reach that right arm up, finding a twist. Pressing equally into both feet, pressing back through the tailbone. Feel that stretch, feel that length. One more breath, open your belly. Relax. And float back to center, both legs lengthen, hands to the shins or the thighs. Take a breath. And other side, left leg stays straight, right knee bends, and hand to the shin or elbow to the thigh. Start to lift up into the left side, opening into the collarbones, eyes lift up. And breathe here into that twisted spine. And take one more. Relax back to center. Both elbows to the thighs or hang in ragdoll, forward fold. If it's comfortable for you, you can interlace the hands behind the head and give yourself a gentle neck stretch, not pulling, just providing a little bit of gentle traction. Relax hands to the earth and step into downward facing dog. Press the ground away. Strengthen into those shoulders. Feet pressing in. 5 breaths. Bring the ears in line with the biceps. Feel free to have that bend in the knees if it's more comfortable. Just enjoy this feeling of being upside down. Enjoy this little heart enlivener that this hips over heart brings. Take 2 more breaths. Inhale, come forward to plank pose, shoulders strong, hips in line with the shoulders. Bring your knees straight down from where they are. And then slowly lower belly, chest, and chin to the earth. Try not to collapse. Tops of the feet to the earth, lift up through the heart, cobra pose. 5 breaths here. Slow and steady. Really feel the belly move on the ground. Feel the diaphragm get a little workout here. Bringing awareness to our breath purposefully so that we can take a deeper breath later. One more breath. Press up and back to tabletop position, lengthening out through the spine. As you inhale, belly comes down, heart and hips lift, coming into a spinal stretch. And exhale, curl and round as though you're playing the accordion with your torso. Inhaling, just unrolling the spine vertebrae by vertebrae, finding that lift. Exhale, curl and round. Find the stretch and get rid of the air in your lungs. Inhale. And exhale. Three more. Come back to center. We're going to come down to our backs. If you want to bundle up here, we're not coming under our feet anymore, so you can just relax. Put your socks back on, put long sleeves back on. Keep your blanket handy, but out of your way. And then lay on down, hugging knees to your chest. You can physically hug them in with your hands or just rest your hands at your sides, just depending on how you're comfortable. Take another breath here. Feel the spine long from bottom to top. And feet slowly come down to the earth one at a time. Knees stay bent. Roll your shoulder blades closer together by pressing elbows in. Lift up through the heart. Roll the shoulder blades underneath. And then roll your spine down from there, creating this length, even pressing the small of the back into the earth. And then bring awareness to your tailbone. And just as we did when we were standing, just have this feeling of tilting and untilting the tailbone. Just feel you can even bring your hands to your hips here for a moment and feel that lift and lower of the hip bones themselves, that tilt and untilt. And also this should feel quite nice in your lumbar spine. And then bring the tailbone back to neutral. Rest your arms down again. Make sure that you feel length in the neck. And we're going to lift the tailbone up. Find that little tilt of the tailbone, and then keep the tilt and let the rest of the spine lift up as you roll up to your shoulders. And exhale as you slowly roll back down, feeling the spine relax, and then tip the tailbone toward the earth. Start off by lifting the tailbone up, pressing into the small of the back, and then the whole spine leaves the earth as you roll up to the shoulders. Use the arms to help you. Exhale as you slowly roll back down, finding some lengthening, some flexion and extension here. Tailbone tips down toward the earth, and then tips up toward the sky. Lift up, inhale. And exhale, roll back down, slow and steady. 2 more. And last one. Feel the spine relax to the earth. Tip the tailbone toward the earth, lift it up toward the sky, and then shift the weight here gently side to side, feeling the small of the back press into the mat, that nice little body pressure massage. Bring your arms out to your sides. We're going to find that twist in our spine. We found our flexion and extension here on the ground. Now we'll twist. Feet press into the earth. Lift up into the hips. Shift them over just an inch and lay them back down to the left. Shift them over an inch to the left and lay the hips back down. You're going to feel a little awkward here until you hug the knees into the chest. And then let the knees fall over to the right. And hopefully what you did with that little lift and shift is you gave your hips just that little bit more room to find the twist. So you're twisted in your hips here, you're twisted in your belly. Arms are spread wide, thoracic spine stays open here, but lift up into the head. Turn and look over the left shoulder and lay the head back down, creating this twist from tailbone to your neck, and breathe here deeply. Opening into your heart space, that whole heart line extending out through the hands. Coming back to neutral spine, one part at a time. Lift up through the head. Bring the face back to neutral, the neck back to neutral, and then slowly roll the knees back in. Feet come down. Bring your spine back to neutral and rest your arms down at your sides. Just be here in this pose for a moment. Flatten the small of your back into the earth and just feel the spine untwist. Take an open mouth exhale, sinking in. Arms reach out to your sides, press into your feet, lift up through the hips, shift them over an inch to the right, set them back down, hug the knees in, and the knees fall over to the left. Lift up through the back of the head and turn and look over the right shoulder, stretching out through your arms, stretching out through your heart, and breathing here, allowing your energy to ground and clear and open. Back to center. Bring the knees back to center. Shift the hips back to neutral. And arms rest at your sides. Take a breath here. And our final lateral stretch here. Soles of the feet come together as knees fall apart, bringing legs into bound angle pose. And then arms are going to reach up and interlace behind the head, mimicking the shape of the legs with your arms. And then we're going to find that lateral stretch. And before we move, I want you to travel inward to your spine again. And we're opening up space into the side of the vertebrae here. So legs stay as they are, hips stay neutral. Lift up into your torso, lift up into your shoulders. Move yourself over to the left, opening up into the right side of the body, and then lay the head, the neck, shoulders back down, and you can turn and look over the left shoulder or the right shoulder. The left shoulder. That'll probably feel more in line with this extension that we're going for. If it feels like you could find a little bit more space in the side body here, into the side of your spine, you can reach the arms up and lay one palm on top of the other, lay left palm on top of the right. You feel that stretch from shoulder to wrist as well. Breathe into that space that you're opening in the spine. arms extended up, return them to cradle your head, bring yourself back to center. Take a moment here, change the interlace of the fingers, rest the head back. Legs stay as they are, lift up through head, neck, and shoulders. Move the torso over to the right, this time extending now into the left side of the spine, the left side of the ribs. If you want to take it one step further, arms reach up, and the left palm rests on top of the right, feeling that stretch, feeling that support. Check in with your hips, relax the hips. Check in with your breath and stay full. Cradling your head once more, lift up, head, neck, and shoulders. Torso moves back to center. Arms reach down, you can help the knees back together. And roll here into the back of your body a few times. We're going to stretch out for our final rest. If you still have your blanket handy or a sweatshirt handy, you can cover up here. It's creating a little bit of warmth and comfort in the body. You can keep knees bent or even bring your feet to a pillow if you'd like. Just finding the space and laying down, laying flat, laying still. Shavasana considered to be the hardest and the easiest pose. It is very easy and yet tremendously difficult to lay still and do nothing. And just trust that the body, the heart, the brain, everything communicating here and sending that energy where it's needed. People who do yoga again and again because it works and it helps and it lifts us. So just allow this moment of rest. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, slow your breath down, and feel the sense of calm traveling down through the belly, down through the legs. And just anchor yourself here for a few moments, resisting the urge to move. Soften. deepen your breath. Slow, steady breathing. If you have time for it and would like, feel free to extend your Savasana. Simply turn the screen off and melt back in. Otherwise, start to move into the body, creating movement in the hands and the feet. Stretch into the arms and the legs. Take a slow open mouth exhale. And turn gently to your right side. Take a breath here. Feel the weight shift. Come on up into a comfortable seated position. Hands come to your heart as you sit with a tall spine. Thumbs pressed to the sternum. Eyes closed, and just thank yourself. Have a moment of gratitude that you had the time and the space in your life to show up and create wellness and softness. With today's practice, you should stand a little easier, stand a little taller, and breathe a little freer. Let's end class with the sound of 3 ohms. Nice, slow, deep inhale. Thank you for taking the time to take care of yourselves today. Namaste. Very happy Thursday, everyone, and very happy quarantine. Day 9,000, and the count continues. But what more could we ask for? The birds are singing, and that's all we need to know. If you like this class, go ahead and take it again on YouTube later. We'll get all of the videos up there. And if you happen to catch my co-star, the co-star is there. That is Luna back there on the box. And Myrtle also made an appearance. They were eating my plants and playing with the balls. But I think that's what makes yoga at home fun. I think that was probably happening in your house too, with our lives the way that they are right now. So very happy to be able to still provide yoga to you, my community, and to be able to find new people to bring into our community, and to still have a reason to breathe myself. So very grateful for this opportunity to work from home, knowing that yoga, teaching yoga for me is never really work. It really is an honor, and feel free to share this class with whoever might need it. Get the word out that we're offering yoga in this way, and if you can, please feel free to go ahead and find a way to send us a little payment so that we can reopen our doors when the time comes. We're accepting through the website and also now through Venmo. So thank you very much for being here, everybody. It is my true honor to teach from my living room into yours, and very happy Thursday to you. If you need me, send a message. Happy Thursday.